my name is Mark Wayne Tant Jr. Today is February 29th, 2020, and this is going to be my informational speech, and we are at my residence. Imagine a world where you could be a sword-wielding fighter or even a spellcaster to fight against hundreds of different monsters, unless you roll one, that is. Now, in Pathfinder role-playing game published by Piazzo, you can customize your character, enter into a fantasy realm, and even the realm itself is customizable, and you can use combat, all different combat maneuvers to dominate the battlefield. The game is run by the game master himself or the referee, and he basically runs manages the monsters and the non-playable characters. The main characters are played by the players and should be the heroes of the game. According to Polygon, that interviewed the lead designer, Jason Ballman, in 2007, Dungeons & Dragons, which was made by Wizards of the Coast, come into a big problem. Their 3.5 version was coming to a licensing end, and they didn't yet put out the rules for 4th edition. Because of this problem, publishers like Piazzo was kind of backed into a corner and they didn't know what to do. While they're all sitting around the think tank and trying to figure out what to do from this, Mr. Ballman, he stood up and he's like, I've been working on a 3.5 version myself. It's a homebrew version, and I think we should try to use it. They ran with this version. He soon became the lead designer of Pathfinder, and in 2008, they published their first edition, and the first line of the first edition, sew it out. And that would be this core rulebook. Now, what does customizing your character even mean? In most role-playing games, you can be a fighter or a spellcaster. But in Pathfinder, with the addition of the Advanced Player's Guide, you can choose from over 20 different classes that all have their own unique customization as well. These new classes brought to you from the Advanced Player's Guide, including the Gunslinger, the Alchemist, and the Oracle, all increase these customizations. Now think of a person from a book or a movie or even from history that you would want to play, and with this customization you could be that person. You could be a monk that's a master in grappling. You could be a cleric theologian that thinks she is the god of thunder herself. Or if you're trying to get your daughter to play, you can make a fairy princess with a unicorn companion. Now, with these customization adds diversity and teamwork to the party. Now, let's say the party is, for instance, trying to investigate a kidnapping, and their leads lead them to an old, rundown glass workshop. The rogue in the party, he rolls a d20 and uses his disable device check in order to try to break into this glass workshop. He succeeds, and they sneak the party inside. Now the monk in the party, he uses a perception check, and he succeeds, and he's able to hear the machine running, and they know that someone or something is inside. They get to the main door of the workshop inside, and they can hear chatter about. They open the door, and they see a dozen goblins, and the goblins rush to attack. An initiative check. So when I say initiative check is whenever a combat starts, all the players and the monsters roll initiative check. And what the initiative check is basically a line of who gets to go first throughout the combat battle. And your initiative checks and your skill checks and your attack rolls, all that are all based on your base attack stats. And also any bonuses that come from your class or your race or your equipment. Piazzo further published more books to go into specifics for these. They came out with the class guide to go into further specifics of the class and break down even more. They further pulled out an ultimate equipment guide to go over hundreds of different types of pieces of gear to add bonuses to your characters. And then they came out with the advanced race guide. And it goes over your most common races like human, dwarf, halfling, half-elf, and a gnome. But it also goes over rare races as well. But the rare races are going to be up to the Game Master's discretion to see if they want to allow them into the gameplay. Now the Game Master has these discretions because they don't want to have unbalance in the game. They want to make sure it's nice and balanced. But they also don't want to force the characters to go down a certain path. It's up to the heroes themselves to decide which paths they're going to choose to go over the obstacles that they face. Now let's go back to our heroes that are just about to face the goblins. The heroes, luckily, all rolled a higher initiative than the goblins. And the monk, being specifically skilled in the bow, leans back and shoots the first arrow, killing the first goblin. The goblins are rushing towards the rest of the party, towards the doorway. And something strange happens. The players ask, which way does the door open?
Yeah.
Now, this being a weird question and not in the regular rules, the Game Master first wonders why. He's like, why does this matter? And the players very instinctively say, this absolutely matters. Okay, so he goes and uses discretion and says, and he looks at his own door and says, well, the door opens inwards. And they're like, okay. And they hold their actions. They don't attack. They don't go inside. And as the first goblin enters into the doorway, the barbarian in the group slams the door on his face, knocks him out. And then when the next goblin goes to open up the door, the rogue sneak attacks him. And the duo rinse and repeats this actions over and over again as the monks firing shots into the doorway. And it works. They kill all the goblins. And what they did was they used this structural feature as a funnel to funnel this large group of enemies to them. And it just made the whole interaction a lot easier and better. And they took advantage of the battlefield. Now I bet also anytime they come to a doorway, they ask, which way does it open? It's this impromptu by the game players and the Game Master that kind of makes each session special. And this can be done not just in combat, but also whenever they're socializing with other non-playable characters, using their social skills. Now let's say these people, they rescued the person that was kidnapped, and they defeated all the goblins. So they go back to the mayor's house to reap the rewards. The mayor says, thank you for returning the person that was kidnapped. For your hard work, here's 1 gold piece each. And the players, looking dissatisfied, they thought they were going to get a lot more gold for this than just this. So the rogue wants to know if he can use his bluff check to kind of embellish on what happened just a little bit. And the Game Master says, of course you can. Tell me what you say and roll a bluff check and we'll see. And the rogue breaks down one knee. He's like, there's hundreds of goblins. They're everywhere. And Timmy, we lost Timmy. And he rolls a bluff check and he rolls a natural 1. And the mayor says, Timmy's right there. He's the one that lets you guys in. He's fine. So he obviously fails, and the barbarian steps forward and he says, maybe you should give us more gold, or maybe that person might go missing again. Game Master says, go ahead and roll an intimidate check. And he rolls, and it's an okay roll. It's not enough to get more gold, but it's not a fail enough to get them kicked out of the mayor's house to begin with. So the monk steps forward and he's like, "Now, Mayor, we all know that how much problem these goblins have caused the city, and how much gold the city's gonna make back since these goblins are gone. And they can probably spare a couple hundred gold." Well, the game master says, "Well, go ahead and roll a diplomacy check, and we'll see." And he rolls a nat 20. Whenever someone rolls a nat 20, obviously they all eyes get big and they look down at the dice and point to it. And the mayor says, "All right, I suppose you're right." And he goes in and gives each person 200 gold now each. Gives them a free stay at the local inn. And he says, "Anytime there's any other goblins that you kill, let me know and I will pay you for them." Now, where the game goes from here is up to the players and the game master. The game master most likely will put out a main quest line for them, but they may or may not pick up on this. They may go out on side quests they want to go inquire about. They may want to build some weapons or go find other goblins instead of trying to do whatever the mayor says. Pathfinder has put out a bunch of different adventure paths that varies based off what kind of gameplay you want to play. And that's why the realm itself can be customizable, because they range from sci-fi to high fantasy to pirates and much more. So that way you can kind of get a variety of what you do want to play. For instance, some players will play random modules to, each module is a different type of realm or fantasy type, so that way they're always getting a different type of gameplay. It's this outside of the box thinking that Pathfinder encourages, and that's why they want you to customize your class and customize your gameplay and customize the realm, because they want that type of outside the box thinking. And think about it, if it wasn't for outside the box thinking and homebrew making, then Jason would have never made Pathfinder.